What up, guys? Welcome to another video here with Ken, the real estate guy. Today we're going to break down a deal that I completed here in Clifton, New Jersey. This type of deal was a wholesale deal. If you don't know what wholesale means, that just basically means you get a house under contract with a seller and then you find an end buyer who's willing to pay more. That margin in between, that's your assignment fee. In this deal that I completed, I made over 6 figures on it. 6 figures, guys. Just literally flipping paperwork. The total amount I want to say was a little over $100,000. I'm gonna show you step by step on how I was able to get this done, and stay tuned to the end of the video where I'll drop a quick gem and show you what list I pulled in order to get an assignment fee like this. Stay tuned. Alright, guys, backstory on this deal was one of our cold callers, Jennifer, got in contact with the seller. When Jennifer had asked about the property, the seller had told Jennifer, like, yeah, I do want to sell that property, I just haven't been there in such a long time. Jennifer started to ask the key questions that we've taught her and was able to build rapport with the seller. We later on found out that the seller moved back in to his mother's house to take care of her because she was ill. Unfortunately, when the mother had passed away, the seller decided to continue on living in that house, and he basically abandoned the house that we were calling him about. He later on told us that he had no means of getting to that house. It's been such a long time. He hasn't been there. It's been vacant. He's always wanted to sell it, but kind of just like brushed it to the side. He just, let the years went on by. I think he told us he hadn't been to that property in 10 years, maybe even longer. When Jennifer was continuing to have the conversation with the seller basically told Jennifer, like, hey, look, I gotta go now. I had an appointment. Can you call me back another time? So whenever a seller tells you, call me back another time, you want to make sure you set an exact appointment. You don't want to say, like, yeah, I'll call you another day. You want to set an exact date and an exact time. I hear a lot of people when they're speaking to sellers and the seller says, call me tomorrow afternoon. They literally say, okay, no problem, have a great day. That's not good. You want to set an exact time with that seller. So when I speak to a seller and the seller's telling me he has to go, I say something along the lines of, all right, John, I understand you have to go right now. When can we commit to getting back on the phone? When are you free again? And a lot of times the seller will say, yeah, call me in the morning. No, we don't allow that in our business. When they say call me back in the morning, okay, John, what time in the morning? Does 10 a.m. work or 11 a.m.? Let that seller give you an exact time. It's very, very, very important. And when you set that exact time, chances are higher that that seller will pick up that call. Just think about it. If you tell the seller, yeah, I'll call you tomorrow afternoon, John. John says, okay. What time are you going to call him tomorrow? He's not going to be, he doesn't know when you're going to get that, he doesn't know when he's going to get that phone call from you. But when you set an exact time, a precise time, the seller will at least be aware that, okay, it's 2 o'clock, Kenny's gonna call me soon. You get what I mean, guys? So that's a quick gem for you right there. All right, guys, so back to the story. Jennifer had told us about this deal that she had. Not deal, but lead. That's the better word to use. So Jennifer's excited. We finally got a motivated seller who's interested in selling his home. So Jennifer did the right thing, set up an appointment to speak to him tomorrow. Guess what? The seller just started ghosting Jennifer. Jennifer called at that exact time, but the seller just didn't answer. It is what it is. You can do the right thing, set up an appointment, but the seller just doesn't want to answer, We were trying everything. We were having Jennifer call, in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, no answer. We started calling from different numbers. No answer. I think literally 2 weeks went by, still nothing. I'm like, damn, how can we get back in contact with the seller? I tried calling too, still nothing. I was like, you know what? Let me shoot this guy a text message. So I texted him and came in as the financial manager. I said something along the lines of, hey John, this is Kenny from the Kismet team. I'm actually one of the financial managers here, and Jennifer had told us that you were interested in selling your property at 123 Main Street. When can we chat further? Literally, that's what I said to the seller, and maybe a couple hours went by and boom, the seller responded back to me and was apologetic, saying he was dealing with a lot of family issues, but he could speak at so-and-so time. So I'm like, lit, I got him on board. So I confirmed the time and date with him, and that was that. I think it was like a Friday we committed to speaking on the phone. On Friday, I had an event to go to. It was one of my good friends. His wife was having a baby shower, and they invited me. It was somewhere in New Jersey. I forget where. But the reason why I bring that up is because the seller and I, we had committed at speaking, let's say it was 3 o'clock, right? I called the seller at 3, no answer. I'm like, damn, what's going on with this guy? But I'm like, you know what? I'll try another day. I gotta get ready for this event. So, you know, I'm on the Garden State Plaza. It's probably like 4 o'clock, 4:10. I'm headed to this party. And then, of course, I get a phone call from the seller. I'm on the Garden State. I'm driving a Subaru WRX with a loud ass exhaust. I'm like, damn, I can't. There's no way I can't have a phone conversation when in that car. I don't have that car anymore. I had to get rid of it. That's a story for another day. But you know, I see the seller calling me. I'm like, nah, I gotta speak to him now. So I literally pull over onto the shoulder of the Garden State Plaza and had a conversation with this seller. I had a great conversation with him. I was on the phone for about 25 minutes to a half an hour, just building rapport, asking those key questions. And then in the end, he was just telling me like, I want to sell the house. I just don't have a car. I can't get there. So literally I tell him like, hey John, why don't I just pick you up? We could go to the house together and then we could work out the numbers. Because during the conversation, he was asking me like, oh, what can we offer? I was asking him like, what were you looking for? And we were kind of just throwing out some numbers. Once I had said, hey, yo, let's just go to the property. Let's see what we're working with, and then we could just take it from there. He was like, yeah, Kenny, that sounds like a great idea. And that was it. I set up that appointment to go pick him up. And just think about it, guys. How many people would have just gave up on that deal? How many people? I live in New York. This house is in Clifton, New Jersey. From where I live, it's about an hour ride. And that's besides the fact I had to go pick him up. Luckily, where his mom lives is about 4 blocks away. I don't know why he just never walked there, but hey, to each his own. But I went to go pick him up. That's how bad I wanted it. And you gotta ask yourself, how bad do you want it? That's very, very, very important. Focus on your why. And if you know what your why is, you know, you will achieve greatness. All right? So that's another quick tip, life tip, whether it's real estate or whatever you want to inspire to be. Always focus on your why and just ask yourself, how bad do you want it? So a couple days later, my partner and I, we went to go pick up the seller. The moment we drove to the house, we were thinking to ourselves like, oh, this house isn't bad. I mean, from the outside, the grass was kept. It didn't look like a terrible house at all. But we were so wrong. The moment we stepped inside the house, you just got a smell of literally shit from a raccoon. Legit raccoon shit on the living room couch. And the reason why we know it was a raccoon was there was a bunch of raccoons living in the basement. I mean, the house, to this day, this house is probably the most disgusting house I've ever stepped foot inside. There was a hole in the ceiling upstairs. Everything was just trashed. It was unbelievable. I could keep on describing it, but I actually have footages from the moment I stepped foot inside that house for the first time. Check it out.
Yo guys, look at this property right here. This property is on a whole nother level. So real Shiv didn't even want to come inside to take a look at it. Oh my god.
Crazy, right? I mean, till this day, I still don't understand how sellers let their houses get to that point. I mean, it's part of the business. The more uglier the houses are, the better it is for us, right? So, I mean, we didn't stay inside the house long. The smell of it was crazy and it just smelled horrendous. So we went outside and it was a lot for the seller. He couldn't believe on how bad his house got through the years. So we just honestly just started having a conversation about life. I mean, at one point in the conversation, he was telling me about his hobbies. Check it out.
I don't know how to make money. I don't want to be, in other words, I explore things to make money on it. Like during the pandemic, everyone's doing closing. regular puzzles,
Yeah.
jigsaw puzzles. So there's a site where you can turn your photography.
So you guys see the video, we're just chatting, having a good time. And this is what I mean. Just have a conversation with the seller sometimes. Don't always just talk about the house, just build rapport. You know, they're a regular person just like you, and you don't always have to talk about the house. You know, towards the end of the conversation, the seller told me that, hey Kenny, I really appreciate you coming out to pick me up. You know, after seeing my house like this today, I really never want to step back, you know, inside that house. You know, here's the key. Just do what you have to do, and you know, just bring it home for me. I'm like, what? When he was saying that all to me, you know, I was so excited on the inside, but I composed myself. He really trusted me, and he had every right to trust me because I was able to build rapport. I showed him that we were a legit company and we really are interested in purchasing your home. So he really gave me the key. Check this picture out when I got it. So you know, I'm excited now. I have the key. He signed the contract for $200,000, and now we're off to the races. So we submitted the paperwork to the title company. You know, we blasted the deal out to our buyers list, and we had so many buyers interested. You know, it ended up becoming a bidding war. In the end, we had an end buyer willing to pay $300,000 for the property, guys. We have it under contract for $200,000. We have a buyer willing to pay $300,000. That's six figures, $100,000 for flipping paperwork. I know sometimes you may be worried or concerned that, oh, the buyer's gonna see how much I'm making. I don't know. Screw that. If the buyer has a problem with what you're making, then he's not the right buyer for you. Because when it's time for the paperwork to come out, the buyer is gonna wanna see the contract. He wants to see the underlying terms that you have between the seller and yourself. So show the buyer that. We showed the buyer that, hey, you know, we have it under contract. You see it for $200,000, and he was okay with it. A true buyer won't care how much you're making. A true buyer won't. You know, if he's pocket watching on you, he's not the right buyer. He's not the right buyer for you. And the buyer that ended up purchasing this property, he's a savvy investor, and he's planning on doing an addition to the home, which he did, and he made out. Once he added that addition, I think he ended up selling that property for around $700,000. So he made out, we made out. It was a win-win for everybody involved, even for the seller. So with that being said, once we got that end buyer under contract, the title work came back clear, we're ready to close. We decided to do a double close with the seller. If you don't know what a double close is, that just basically means you purchase the property from that seller, and then you simultaneously sell it that same day to the end buyer. The reason why we did that, you know, we just didn't want the seller to see how much we were gonna make as an assignment. You know, we just didn't want to take any chances at all with the seller. So luckily, we had the cash to purchase it for $200,000. If you don't have the cash, you could get a private money loan. You know, you could find other means to fund your deal. You know, there's a lot of people out there that's willing to do transactional funding, including ourselves. So if you ever need a deal, just message me. You know, we could definitely make it happen for you. So with that being said, you know, we purchased it $200,000. That same day, the title company had Kismet Realty Buyers selling it to the end buyer. And Kismet Realty Buyers is the name of my company, for those of you who don't know. And literally, that margin at the end of the day after closing costs and taxes was roughly over $100,000. Literally, I think we had a wire coming in from the end buyer for $307,000. And then with the seller, we paid $206,000. So guys, all in all, deals like this can happen. It doesn't happen all the time. You know, this is the first and only six-figure wholesale deal that we've ever done, but you just got to keep pursuing it. You got to keep chasing it, because if you continue to do so, I guarantee the deals will happen. And you know, just to show you guys the receipts, check it out. Yeah guys, amazing. Truly blessed. And before I go, I want to let you guys know the list that we pulled was a vacant list from PropStream. A simple basic vacant list from PropStream. You know, if you don't know what PropStream is, that's where you could get lists from, data to call sellers that may be motivated. So simple vacant list was able to turn into a 6-figure deal. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I hope you guys got value off this video. Catch you guys on the next one.